I funded over $1 billion in real estate transactions. Cheers. Welcome to Hard Money Happy Hour. Cocoa, vodka, pineapple today. Get a little coconut, get a little pineapple. We're going to try this out. Pretty tasty. Sweet. Very sweet. But I like it. Let's talk about 2022. Heck of a year. Interest rates spiked at the highest peak in like 30, 40 years. It was up almost straight up with how high interest rates rose relative to history. That impacts the whole entire economy. It's impacted real estate, it's impacted everyone. I will say though, in talking about the real estate investor community, and especially the real estate investor community with regards to what we see and we've experienced over the last year, certainly there have been some bumps in the road. Certainly there have been some challenges, but all in all, pretty good year. And in talking to a lot of real estate investors, everyone has agreed to that fact. We're ending pretty okay. We're pretty happy with where the year went. Certainly, 2023 has some ominous clouds ahead of it, some concern, some unknowns out there. Will interest rates continue to rise? Where are things going to go? I'll get to that in just a second. But ending this year, we feel pretty good about where we've been. We've been through a few bumps in the road. We've absorbed and mentally and financially accepted some of these increases in rates and how they may have affected some of the values in real estate. Heading into the new year, again, some unknowns are out there. My assessment, and based on what I'm reading, hearing, and paying attention to from real estate investors in our region and around the country, generally most people are thinking that the rates and the increase in rates over the past year will be slowing. Now, I'm not talking specifically with regards to the Fed, although we can have a whole conversation on the Fed's plan to increase and how much they're going to increase. I'm talking about the 10-year bond, the 5-year bond, and how that affects commercial mortgages, investors, and investment property financing. We believe that interest rates have, for the most part, stabilized in a narrower range, higher range than where they were for sure. You were at 3s and 4s early in 2022. We're not going to be in the 3s and 4s anywhere in 2023. But if we're in the 7s and 8s, maybe high 8s, maybe low 7s, somewhere in that range, those are safe numbers. We can mentally accept that. We can financially accept it. We know what we're getting into, and we can do the math accordingly to decide whether to buy a property, whether to invest long-term for a flip or not. So I think that stability of the interest rates and not having continued insane increases like we had earlier in 2022 will provide a lot of comfort to real estate investors, and already are. Prices is the second biggest question. Are prices going to drop? Are prices, have they peaked? Are they going to fall off a cliff or not? The consensus is they're not going to fall off a cliff. Yes, they've peaked. Things are going to pull back. Depending on what part of the country you're in, depending on how high that increase was, will help factor in how much of a drop-off you're going to get. Some people have seen 10, 15% drop-offs in certain cities, certain areas, certain regions. The consensus is it's not going to be anything like 2008. We've talked about that before. We're not going to see a 30, 40, or 50% drop in values. I don't believe anywhere. Yes, there'll be a drop-off. We're overdue for a little bit of a drop-off, but enough of a drop-off that we can afford to maintain our properties, that we can afford to continue to carry on, and most importantly, we can afford to continue to invest in real estate. I use the line I use all the time, which is, I wish I invested in more properties sooner. No one ever adds the caveat to I wish I invested in more sooner with regards to interest rates, pricing, or timing. You can't time the stock market. You can't time the real estate market. You have to get in and be in for the long haul. It is a marathon and not a sprint. Accordingly, heading into 23, think positive, keep on trucking along, be careful and do that math, knowing prices are going to drop a little bit, knowing we've hit those highs already, knowing that rates are going to stay pretty high for the time being. But we think all in all, we're going to have a steady year, little fall off, but a steady year overall, not as strong as 2022, generally speaking, but still a good year for all of us to be able to make money, continue to grow in real estate, and look towards the future where rates will, at some point down the road, drop, and where prices will, at some point down the road, increase yet again. Have a great, happy new year. I've enjoyed this year with all of you. Thanks for tuning in. Feel free to call anytime. Happy to help answer any questions. Call, reach out, text, email. We're here for anything, anytime. Thank you. Cheers.